Hey y'all, welcome back to the Be Like D channel. It's your girl D coming back with another review of Real Housewives of Potomac season 6 episode 13. Okay, so the episode opens with Mia getting ready for the trip that Wendy invited them all to last time. And her kids don't want her to go. They all sad, all clinging on to her and stuff. And then, of course, her husband G is saying that they ain't been on a trip since like last summer, 2019, 2020 or something like that. And so this would be a great time to have a trip, but it's just gonna be them two. It's not gonna just be them two. It's gonna be them and some people he don't even know. Then he's saying he's not gonna have a good time, blah, blah. And then in Mia's confessional, she's saying that G just doesn't like to be around other couples on couples trips because he don't want to get into everybody's shit. And I'm like, that must be he talking about the other shit like how Mel and Martelli is on Love Marriage Huntsville getting into that shit. But anyway, he don't like to get into other people's shit, but she's like, but he eventually have a good time. So just wait on the trip, just wait till we get there, dang. And then while they're standing there talking, he's talking about how he is gonna have a good trip. I'm like, dude, what? Like, so he went from saying it's not gonna be a good trip because he don't know these people to, but I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna have a good time. I enjoy myself. But then she tell him how it might be a little rah-rah or whatever because her and Candace got a problem. And then, that's why he said he's still gonna have a good time because he ain't with all that. But she was like, yeah, she brought up my mom, calling my mom. I don't know if she said she called my mom low budget, but basically said that's what happened. But then in her confessional, she's saying if Candace wanna be growing up, then they can move on and be growing up. But if not, and if she wanna act like a high school, we can take it all the way back to high school. And I'm like, okay, Mia, let's see. But I do like how she did tell her husband that if she bring up my mama again, it's gonna be a fight. I said, okay, Mia, defend your mama, okay? Now we're over to Candace, and apparently they come down to an agreement that they only spend a certain amount of time talking business so they can keep that line, not blurry or whatever, between manager and artist. And so they breaking it all down. I'm like, so we really did. They had to give us a moment of him and your husband, because they're like, gotta talk about what's, they really talking business. But I was just like, whatever. But why are they trying to build this storyline of Chris over drinking or drinking too much? Because they keep showing us the timestamp and then she keeps mentioning it. Or why is she, why is she building the case of him being he's over drinking? Because she brings it up, then Bravo has keep putting the timestamps. Then earlier in the beginning of the season, they had all the alcoholic, all the drink bottles still in the house, and then Miss Dorothy, y'all like, drinking this early, all these bottles. So what's going on with that? But now Candace filling in Chris about what happened at Giselle and Robin's recently shady party. And she's telling him how Mia, they talked when she came in, they was talking about Mia, and then she was sitting next to Mia, and blah, 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 how everything went down. And then she tells him how she told Mia, well, your mama low budget. And then she said, then it escalated from there. And then he's like, I wonder why. I'm like, he right, but that tone, like, I see why they be getting into it. Because they both got smart mouths. Like, I would have hopped on his ass too. Like, bitch. He must be like, yeah, tell her. Nah, that's how Tiffany husband be on Love Marriage Huntsville. But anyway, so he like, I wonder why. And then she's still talking, telling her story, and it's like she said the whole time when she talking to him, this is where I see Candace say stuff just for shock value. Like, she reading them, but it's all like, yeah, with your botched lips and your botched leaky booty and your leaky lips and yo size 14 feet or something like that. And then he just like, smoking cigar. I was like, but if she was sitting with a woman or whatever, that would have been it happened. Oh, girl. He was just like, He was listening to this shit all the time. But anyway, so she was basically reading Mia down. But it was in a way that it was like, it didn't seem as good. And then she was showing the whole projection thing she did. And then stupid Bravo with they editing again, they goofy editing. Showing her do the little projection thing. Cause she telling me she projecting onto her because she keep thinking everybody intimidated by her. And when she did her voice, I laughed. I was like, that is me. But she's like, she feel like Mia is projecting because anytime that she feels out of place in the group, that's when she go around projecting onto people. And I'm like, okay, I can kind of see that. So that was a good note, Candace. So apparently, Ashley saying she happy about the trip that Wendy gave, saying that, she inviting everybody to. She was all excited about it. The group needed new energy or whatever. I'm like, girl, bye, shut up. But anyway, she was like, but then she started receiving all these texts. Ashley. So, she started to read the text messages. Apparently, Giselle sent out the text message from, I guess Wendy sent them all the texts from the group chat or whatever. And then for the invite of the party, but then Giselle sent a whole message to the group chat saying that she don't want to go since her invite was shady or whatever. And I'm like, your invite was shady just last week, bitch. So then in her confessional, Giselle confessional, she's saying that I'm not going to nobody's event if they're gonna invite me with nastiness. Who does that? You do that, girl. She doing what you do, what you just did. This woman be acting like she gaslighting. Look, gaslighting right there. Cause we all know what the hell. Anyway, and then why she always gotta have somebody there to hype her up when she doing her texting? Because they show us the flash of when she's sending the text and she getting her hair colored or whatever by her little hairdresser. And then I'm glad that he had some sense. He was like, but I guess he thought she was just venting. And then she was like, and send. And he was like, you sent it? And he's just like, okay. And so now we're getting the other side of what happened. And Robin also sent back, well, Wendy is telling Eddie that she sent back positive vibes, and she answered as Zen Win. I'm like, girl, stop. Okay, stop with the Zen Win. I would have said no again after that too. So then Robin replies and says, thanks for everybody for joining the event. Have fun on your trip, ladies. So then Ashley is saying that she's upset about that, and she's trying to convince, why I want to keep calling her Karen. Robin, she wants Robin to reconsider her and Giselle because Michael not going. Michael going to actually keep the babies so they can be a throuple if they all go on the trip. I'm like, I know what y'all trying to be. You know, everybody call y'all, well, you know, green-eyed bandits, but with Ashley added on, they some kind of light-skinned crew, okay? Light-skinned crew. And they all messy. So, she's trying to convince Robin to reconsider. And she's saying, well, I just don't feel welcome by Wendy. I can't be myself. If I tell her her shoes are untied, she's going to yell at me. Girl, bye. Wendy do not be yelling at you. You just mad because she reads you and then you don't know how to go back and say anything after that to defend yourself. Because she speaks facts. Because she doesn't support me in my relationship. Okay, Robin. Okay, now my girl Karen coming with some shade. So she telling Ray that it's gonna be the same group that was at they love party that's basically gonna be on the trip. And then he was like, oh, so no Michael? And then she's like, I don't know, I don't think so. And she was like, so no one? She was like, I don't know, haven't heard. And then in her confessional, she said, clearly after seeing Robin thumb herself in Williamsburg, and then they flash back to Williamsburg when Wendy told her to go F herself, and then she started doing the motion like, oh yeah. And she was like, so clearly Robin can't handle herself. I was like, excellent shit. Didn't see it coming, okay? So now Ashley arrives over to Karen's house, and they both, I guess, driving up together to go to Williamsburg, because Ray gonna be there the next day, because he was like, y'all gotta tell me 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks in advance before you start adding stuff into my schedule. It was a surprise trip. I'm like, yeah, how did they think the men just gonna be able to come last minute? But okay. So they all lovey-dovey, him and Karen, and I feel like it's so on purpose, because in front of Ashley, because Ashley was always throwing a shade at Karen and Ray not loving each other and all this stuff, and she don't want to touch him and all kind of stuff like that. So they being extra affectionate and all this kind of stuff. She's like, oh, I love the affection. So now Mia and G show up to the trip, and I already look, this is where Mia get that shit from. He act the same way. He all like, valet. No, ain't no valet out there. And then it's like, is anybody gonna come get our luggage? And then she was like, just leave it in there. Let's see if she got somebody, because I'm not carrying shit. I'm like, y'all stop. Y'all stop, okay? How rich are y'all? How rich are y'all to be acting like that, okay? Don't do that. But anyway, then they still go in and they carrying on the joke with Wendy and them, because they like, well, y'all look at it, y'all not staying. And then it was like, nah, we looking for the valet. Like, who gonna bring in our stuff? I want my stuff to be folded, blah, 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 this way, that way. And I'm like, y'all joking, but I'm sure that is how they act when they go places. Just off of the joke alone. Nah. But anyway, so then they go have shots. They want to have shots and shit. And then Wendy like, okay, I can take a few, but I ain't gonna be able to take that many. But Eddie over there talking about, come on, husband, wife, do stuff together. I said, okay, look at him trying to get her peer pressure. But anyway, so Wendy talking about the vibe of the trip is good vibes only. Everybody like, yes, I need that. And then so they keep going GVO. Stupid, but okay. If y'all want to really have fun, let's do it, okay? But anyway, so Mia is talking about how she's a little nervous because this is the first time she left the mom with the kids. And then Wendy's like, well, can I ask why? And then Mia actually opens up and tells her why. And then Wendy is like, oh, okay, I'm sorry to hear that. She's like, but then that also brings me back to the comment Candace just made, calling her mom no budget. And she said, so did that strike a deeper nerve because of the history of your mom? And then then Mia says, no, with Candace, the first thing that popped up into her head was spoiled brat, because she would never say anything like that about anyone's mom or call anybody a name. And I'm just like, okay, but I feel like it did strike a nerve, but she trying to play it off or something like that, because I feel like it would have struck a nerve, like. But Candace always go for it. Not knowing what's going on. Wasn't she like dogging Ashley when Ashley was giving birth? But she, she just be saying whatever the fuck come out her mouth, which is reckless. So I guess that's the whole point. But then some people also say that you gotta say whatever you gotta say to you know, get your opponent. But I do feel like it's lines to that. It's lines. So not everybody. Well, Winnie in her confessional saying that she said that Mia opened up about that, and then I guess they gonna bond on a deeper level or something like that. But ooh, Karen and Ashley still in the car on their way to the trip, and she's saying that now she's in a good place with everybody, so she feel like she can invite everybody to the bar renewal, and she planning it herself. So that's why I guess it's in that all-inclusive place that they was talking about. So anyway, so she said, oh, well, that's good. And then they flash back to when she said, when she's talking to Ray, they said 2 weeks ago, she's talking to Ray and telling him that she's in a new place with Giselle, and she feel like she want to extend that invitation. And then he was like, oh, well, okay. I don't know who she's going to bring, the hairdresser. I said, not Ray hopping in with the shade. That was good. But anyway, so Karen in her confessional says that she's trying to do her part to show the ladies that she's willing to move on for the group. So she doing her part. So they gotta do this. I'm like, okay, Karen, that's good. You doing your part. That's all you gotta do, girl. And then when they don't do theirs, it just show who they are. There you go, Karen. She's telling Ashley that each person in the group just needs to be accountable for their own actions. And then Ashley doing a little side shade smirk. And then she was like, we all right, but I got my eye on her. And I said, all right, Karen. That's how you're supposed to be. Because you know she always going to do something else, as always, to start some kind of mess with you, okay? So Mia is asking if Giselle and Robin are coming, and then they flash to Robin clipping her son's toenails, and she's like, ugh, the love of a mother. I'm like, girl, you could have been on a trip having fun, and you over there clipping your son's toenails. And how old is he to where he don't know how to clip his own toenails? Ugh. Anyway, and then Giselle over here walking around with that boot on her foot, trying to pick up a piece of trash, like, ugh, 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 ugh. She ain't doing shit either. Girl, y'all could have been on a trip having fun. Y'all know y'all would have been off to the side anyway, shading all of them, so y'all could have had more fun doing that. But anyway, so Mia and Wendy are talking about them not coming, and they said they didn't feel welcome. I really think y'all was too scared to confront Eddie about it, because y'all know Wendy gonna bring it up, and here's my husband to tell you that he not. That's what it was. That's what it really was. They scared to confront the whole situation with Eddie gonna be right there. So they saying they ain't welcome. Yeah, I know you're not welcome because you too scared. That's what Wendy said last time. Yeah, since y'all want to talk about the husbands, they gonna be there. And then they was like, oh yeah, we can't go. Okay, so Candace show up, and then Wendy being extra, and then now she being extra. I did not like this moment. I was just like, oh, y'all been annoying. It wasn't even like y'all was, it didn't seem real. And then Wendy telling her that the theme of the trip is GVO, good vibes only. And then then Candace is like, so if you can be GVO, then you must be GTFO or whatever, you know, what the shit called? You know what I'm trying to say. That thing. And then she's like, I'm like, oh, stop. Please stop. It was so cringe. And then Chris just like, and everybody was just looking at her. And then Mia's confessional, she was like, I hope Chris is ready to manage her mood this weekend because she's gonna need it. I'm like, okay. And he ain't gonna be able to do it. Okay, this whole scene is cringe. And Chris Bassett, I'm there with you. I feel like he feel it too, but he just laughing everything off. Or he just laughing at how absurd it all is. So Wendy over here dropping it low, and the Eddie like, oh, you're dropping it, oh, and then she doing that little awkward. Why it gotta be the awkward drop too? It don't look like she just do that often, you know? So she doing that, and then here come G talking about, oh, he pull out $20. Oh, can I get change for a 20? Can I get change for a 20? And then he like, I'm a strip club connoisseur. And then Mia said something like, yeah, that's where he found me at. And and then Candace said, we know. And we just like, so then he said, but ever since he met her, he don't go no more because that's all he need. He was like, but she the one with the interest, so that's why I go with her. I said, oh, cringe. And then everybody was like, oh. The only person laughing is Chris Paxton. And I'm like, yes, that it was funny, it was cringe, it was like, oh. Oh, this how you finna be the whole weekend? And then Mia talking about that at home her husband is all loving, he in daddy mode, but when he out without the kids, he G. I'm like, ooh, please stop. Yeah, and the scene just keep getting more cringy. Like he's talking about she picks the girls and stuff like that. And then Mia says he like the white girls, but Candace's reaction was funny at white girls. I'm like, yes, Candace. And the whole scene was so cringe, right? Wendy looking like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening right now. And then Eddie says it. I'm like, thank you, Eddie, thank you. He's like, what are we talking about right now? Like, what is going on, okay? And then Candace, I swear, Candace looked at a producer. She looked over at a producer like, what is this? So now Skylar and her husband show up, and I'm like, okay, I'm happy we get to see them as a couple, but I hate that it's not in like full cast member capacity, but we'll take it, okay? So when they walk in, it's crazy up in there. So then Wendy was like, this all might seem crazy to you, but you know, we've been taking shots, so if y'all go ahead and take some shots, it'll seem normal around here. And like everybody keep having these moments like G is doing too much. Like I said, this whole episode, let's just call it cringe, okay? Because everything was cringe about G and Mia. Like, oh, stop. So Skylar and Candace go off to go find rooms or whatever. And she ready to be able to tell Skylar like, yeah, G is on, like, it's funny because she keep going up. She's like, G is like on 25. And then she's like, G is like on 37. I'm like, what is this, Candace? But anyway, she was like, yeah, I can. And that's kind of like, yeah, I can tell. And then she was like, yeah, you better get some food in you before you start being like G. Everybody keep making jokes like he over drinking. Even Chris Bassett tried to tell me like, maybe we should get him a water or something, you know. And then she's like, oh, I just let G do whatever he do. Like, it shows. But she's like, he can teach these young people a few things. I was like, oh, no. But what was funny is that everybody like, where G at? He outside. He outside eating and he's just looking around. Like, what the hell? So that was funny. Then he come back in and he's still back on his bullshit. Like, ooh, he like, oh yeah, Mia, here's the phone. Apparently it's the car dealer on the phone to get a custom G-Wagon, and then Wendy like, oh shit, custom G-Wagon. But then it's like becomes a whole awkward thing where he's telling her to tell the guy to pause on the phone. He ruining the surprise, and then he's like, shut the fuck up. It's not often I get to tell you to shut the fuck up. And then Chris and Skylar's husband look at each other and they're just like, what the hell? And even Wendy just stopped. Wendy just like looking at him like, what the hell is going on? Like, and then in her confession, she says, if he's saying all of this in front of them, what does he say behind closed doors? And then she's gonna pick up. And So he's basically saying that for their 8-year anniversary, that he wanted to get her a custom G-Wagon, and it was supposed to be a whole little thing, but the guy ruined it or something. So Wendy is looking at him like, okay, she's like, oh, so y'all been married for 8 years, and he's like, yeah, 7 years too many. I'm like, can we get him off the screen? And then at the same time, Candace is telling Skylar more what G has been acting like or whatever. And then she was like, he's kind of like reminding me of, have you met Michael, Ashley's husband? And I'm like, yes, yes, I see it, Candace. So now Candace is also saying how she feels like Michael and G have so much in common because they're older, they've lived that life, they had that monogamous life at first, and they realized that ain't what they wanted. And then she says because Mia went to the strip club and she found her a high roller. And then Mia's walking in as she says that. She's like, what y'all in here doing? Talking shit? I'm like, okay, I like how she just came in and came with the mess, right? But, you know, of course, after Wendy came in, and Wendy was like, what they talking about and stuff. So before that, Wendy came in first. And then she like, oh, so y'all thinking something going on at home because her relationship with G? And they saying, and Candace in her confession says that G is, their age gap is giving father-daughter. I'm like, yeah, I know. And then, so after Mia comes in, Wendy tries to like tone it down a little bit. She was like, well, I don't know what they're talking about for before I got in here, but I just also want to say this trip could be conduit between all of us, not just you and Candace, about me, how me and you opened up with me about your mother. She's like, I didn't tell her what it was about, I just saying. And then Candace like, why we mentioning up what happened? She was like, the comment about her mother. She was like, because, well, she didn't tell her, but then Candace is saying that well, it started because of something she said about her mother. And then Mia tried to backtrack by saying, no, I was just saying, like, who's in charge here? Like as a CEO, as a boss, I like to know, like, my first thought is to assess the situation. I'm like, Mia, stop, okay? Stop. You sound so stupid. I don't even want to hear that shit no more. Now you keep trying to enforce that you're a boss. You're a boss. What else do you got to say? Because I ain't seeing no boss. I'm just saying your husband let you take over his company. Like, do you have a degree? Like, what do you know? Like, I always seen was you walk around the office and say you was doing an inspection, okay? You know, stop. I'm a boss. As a CEO, girl. Mia's still on her dumb shit talking about she just boss stuff and blah blah blah. And then she said, Candace was like, yeah, I don't know, you said my video was low budget. And then she was like, yeah, constructive criticism. She was like, no, that's not something you go to somebody's place of work and say it's low budget and stuff like that. And then the whole time they talking, Skylar's looking like, is this bitch serious? And then she couldn't even hold them on. She's like, can I interject? And then Mia's like, no. She's like, no, because how can you say, this is not a business meeting. This is not a business meeting, Mia. This is friends are trying to get to know each other, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, exactly, Skylar. Exactly. Like, this bitch, what the fuck, what are you talking about? It was nothing to do with being professional or anything. Like, what? Okay, so they really sitting there arguing. Wendy trying to stop it all. And then, Candace make another comment about the mom, and then Wendy looks over to Mia and goes, are you okay? And then Candace is like, why are you checking in on her? She was like, because I know what it feels like being on a trip and two people coming at you. Like, come on, guys, y'all know, y'all two coming at her right now. She was like, nah, her big feet had more people on her before, and I defended her. And then they flashed back to her townhouse party when Robin and all of them was yelling at her. Mia's like, my big feet, yeah, I got big feet, I love my big feet. I'm like, some parts she can take a good, like, read, like, good shade. Like, every time they throw shade at her, it don't seem like she is that mad. So I kind of like that, but you gotta be able to throw it back, girl. Throw it back. She ain't really throwing it back. She's just kind of like catching, like, yeah. Oh, really? It's funny. But then Wendy's like, no, it's supposed to be GVO. But they said full out arguing there. But then it's funny because they keep flashing between them arguing and then the men talking about how they don't want to get into it with all the girls' drama. And they like, yeah, and then G like, yeah, I'm gonna laugh at the shit they mad at. I'm like, continue to do that because I will enjoy that part. If you stop doing all this extra stuff you're doing right now, just laugh at y'all women when they arguing with each other, and they'll just be funny. Okay. Okay, and then Candace also said, she was like, your husband found you on the corner. Well, she said your pimp found you on the corner or something like that. And she was like, but I don't say that because that's none of my business. And she's like, what you said it. And then Mia ended up answering the phone call from one of her friends. She's like, and now she's answering the phone because she can't handle the heat. And then so they all like, well, let's just take a break. And they get up and they leaving. And then Ken's like, I know you're trying to be zen when, or was it a scholar? I think it was a scholar. But then they all in the hallway, and then Mia's like, oh, well, thank you, love, blah, blah, on the phone. And she was like, my smart, rich friends, not these broke bitches that get me or whatever. And I was like, really? And then Candace is like, oh, really? Your mama's broke or something like that. And then she was telling her she needs to go back to the curb, back down there. I'm like, yeah, Candace is on her. She's on her. And you know what? I'm enjoying it. But Mia, you gotta be able to dish it back or something. You had that one little line, broke bitches. It was kind of cute. Karen and Ashley finally show up, and now they get to say who gonna pick rooms and who gonna wear. And Wendy says that she picked Karen and the scholar to be the first ones to pick their rooms. She's like, since we was a part of the cottage crew. And then Candace was like, the shade. Oh yeah, and also when Karen and Ashley got there, Mia was like, finally, people that get me are here. I'm like, okay. And then so she says after Karen and a scholar get to pick, then it's gonna be Ashley because Ashley had dealt with a lot to get there or whatever. It was a lot for her to get there. Okay, then of course Candace looking like bitch. And then she says, and then after Ashley, it's gonna be Mia. And then it was like, yeah. And then she was like, well, I think Mia had made some comment earlier to put Candace in a dungeon. And then Chris was like, what about me? But anyway, so then she said, oh, then Candace was like, man, I'm dead last because I put y'all in the cottage, like that shade. And then Wendy was like, well, you did say you wanted Mia to feel comfortable in a group or something like that. And she was like, yeah, did is the key word, I did. And then she's like, and then last after Mia is Candace get to pick her room. And then Mia like, afterthought. And all I thought about was The Office. Afterthought. So Wendy says that they're all gonna have these baskets in their rooms, and it's all has little stuff from Black-owned businesses. And she was like, and one from a new Black-owned business. I was like, girl, go ahead. Showing them all her candle, a little prototype and stuff like that. And then Karen was like, yes, in her confession, she was like, we both can do this. We both could be in Bloomingdale's one day, maybe together. It was a little bit of good shade, but she was still saying they could be Black-owned businesses together. Wendy's candle is coming along. She doing it, okay? But anyway, so as they finish talking about that, then we go into Ashley's asking me what's going on because she like, you know, after she made that afterthought comment, and and then after Candace said, you know, she did want her to feel like she was part of the group, now she don't. So then Mia was like, yeah, she's mean. And then Candace is standing right there at the other end of the counter. She's like, I'm standing here. If you're gonna talk about me, I might as well invite me to join the conversation. So then she was like, "What?" Then she's like, "Well, yeah, fine, then come in, let's do it." And then Candace gonna go around Chris, "Well, let's do it." And Chris and all the husbands like, "All right, let's go." My cue. So then, Candace and Mia going back and forth. They talking shit to each other. She was like, well, Candace, like, let's talk about the real problem here, that you need to go to therapy because you have a problem with people that are not at the same level as you and stuff like that. You always reminding us of how you have money and how you have this and that. And then so I was like, yeah, classism. Oh yeah, because they was like, Scott was like, I know you didn't. When we was upstairs, you called us broke bitches. She's like, no, I didn't. And then they flash it back. Yes, she did. Like, girl, you don't remember calling them broke bitches? Okay. But anyway, so then Wendy trying to jump in between them, like, no, good vibes only. While they arguing, good vibes only. But then Candace, Mia said something. She's doing her hands like this, but Candace doing her hands like that too. But she doing it more further out into her face. So she like, no, you need to stop that. You already did that to Wendy. Go on, stop that. Keep your hands to yourself in your face or whatever. So then, as they arguing, she said something about Mia's mama again, and then Karen hops in. She's like, I don't want to hop in, but I don't feel like we should be saying each other's mothers. And they like all screaming at the top of their lungs as they saying it. So it's like, I don't want you to do that. You shit like that. So it's loud, and then they keep showing how the guys keep going off and doing their own thing. But then Candace is like, no, you started with me, so when you start, you need to learn how to finish. I'm like, true. You gotta learn how to shut this bitch down somehow. You might gotta drag the bitch like Monique. Something. Because you're not getting her together. And then she telling her, she's go find your pimp. And then Almia was like, yes, pimp, go. Here's your hoe. Not good. Not a good one. But and then they showed G sitting over there like, and she come over there to grab him. And then Candace like, yeah, G, yeah, go tell her to shut the fuck up again. And then so they back at each other. Then they about to leave Mia and G to go, I guess, to their room or something. And then here come Candace. Candace, come on now. You was being very antagonizing because she was grabbing, like we thought, like we all knew when we saw the salad toss, where it started from. Candace grabs pieces of it, and she's like, yeah, you go eat something, here's some food, and she's throwing it. And then of course Mia comes back and she's like, you're so childish, you're so immature and stuff like that. And then they both like blah blah blah, you start with me. That's what she said, when you start with me, gotta learn how to finish. And then they in each other's face, and then they trying to like, everybody trying to keep them from not being too close. And then Mia's like, F you Candace. And then Candace like, F you Mia. And then she threw the salad, and then they go Mia throwing the salad back because she said something about her mama again. How come I keep forgetting what she said about her mama? But she did. But oh yeah, and then Ashley was like, no, you don't say nothing about her mom. You don't know her story. She's like, you don't know her story. In the midst of all this, you don't know her story. And she was like, yes, I do. I spend more time with her. And why they still throwing the salad and shit? It was just a whole mess. It was like so much yelling. But I guess that was the end of the episode. All right, so that was the end of the episode. That's the end of my review for Real Housewives of Potomac season 6 episode 13. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the Be Like Dee channel. Okay, this episode was kind of good. Of course it was long. They keep making it long. I thought the salad toss would be a little bit better. It was a lot of yelling, and I kind of hated all the cuts to the men. Like, it was, I guess they were trying to take away from all the yelling, but I didn't really like it. Let's just stay in on the roller coaster of what the women got going on, because it was too much switch. But anyway, it was a good episode. Drop down in the comments. Let me know what y'all think about the episode. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. All right.